Another one. Another one. Touchdown Jags! Ball game!
Another Jags podcast.
Welcome to another Jags podcast.
Oh, who is that?
If you're a longtime listener, you know that I'm not usually the one that says this. It's me, Robert, Joey, in studio today. James is not here today.
You're also much taller.
Well, and I think we've set the precedent that if you're not here, you're fair game to get totally ridiculed.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. So we're going to mix those in throughout the show. But we always want to start and tell you guys you can find us on social media, on Twitter, Another Jags Pod, Facebook and Instagram, Another Jags Podcast. We're creeping up on episode 50.
Oh,
We got anything special planned for episode 50 for you guys? Anything?
We're going to have to go with something.
is that a Jubilee at 50?
I think we might have a little party. Maybe we'll have another Jags party, AJP party
Oh, yeah.
for the
Sounds
50th.
fun.
So be looking out for that because I just thought of that. Sounds like a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
All right, so we're coming off of a Thursday night loss to the Tennessee Titans, 30-9. So let me just bounce this question off you guys right off the bat. Is that the most embarrassing game you've ever watched as a Jaguar fan?
It is for multiple points. First of all, I let my 12-year-old son stay up for it, and at the beginning of the third quarter, he's like, I'm going to go take my shower and get to bed.
That's
So
not a good sign.
that's A. Yeah, exactly. Like, secondly, though, I mean, like, you've got we go for it 4 times in a row on first and goal, can't get it. Immediately turn around with Henry running it back on us and making every guy in our defense look like they're just soft. Boye should retire tomorrow after that play, in my opinion. And then you got Miles Jack in the second half. He makes a tackle, and he's acting like we won the game, and we're down by 20. And then the whole, my Jalen Ramsey thoughts. So the whole flop after the game. I mean, yeah, it was the most embarrassing Jaguar game ever.
Yeah, it was terrible. And really, what makes it more embarrassing to me is not even just the score of the loss, but that it's once again the Tennessee Titans. It's like, I mean, we've been talking about for a while, oh, they got our number. Or people say, oh, we just don't match up well against them. We're the same team as the Titans. There's nothing about not matching up well against them. We're the same team. That's why our last couple games have been low scores. So that just made this one like even more like, oh my gosh, can we beat them at this point? I mean, can we? I mean, I don't know if we can until we actually finally do in the next, hopefully,
All right,
year.
So be honest. Did you guys watch the entire game?
No.
I did, unfortunately.
Yeah, I did as well because of my obligation to the podcast. Many times I was like, you know what? I don't want to watch this anymore. But I was like, I have to take this beating for the people. So
I ended up falling asleep. I'm gonna be perfectly honest.
I don't blame you, man.
I had to go back and watch the highlights.
I don't blame you.
I was honestly, I was sitting at the house watching it, and I was starting to get so mad when anybody asked me anything because of the game. Like, I was almost like, I've got to go watch this somewhere else.
Right. You're irritable.
I was irritable.
Right.
It was bad.
Yeah, me too. I usually get pretty emotional watching the game, like up and down. I felt pretty numb this game. Like, I was like, yep. I expected that to happen. Yeah, I mean, yep, we're getting killed. I believe it. Just one of those games, man. For me, it was one of the most embarrassing games I've ever watched as a Jag fan. I mean, I think back, people are like, oh man, you remember the days of 2012 and 13. I do remember those days. I was at the stadium every game there as well too, and I never felt like I did Thursday night because it was just a beatdown. And I went back and watched the game, and I was trying to be like, all right, where did we get out schemed? Like where did things go wrong? And I got to about the second quarter, and I realized that the players are just giving up. There was no scheme issue at all. The players just gave up, and it didn't matter what the coaches called because the players weren't playing. They're out there to finish the season out, hopefully not get hurt, maybe make a play here or there, but man, they're not going hard every play like they used to.
No.
Go ahead, Joey.
I was just going to say real quick, I mean, they absolutely had given up in that game, except for Cody Kessler and D.D. Westbrook.
Yeah, that's true.
They had a good game. I mean, they tried. I mean, Kessler's numbers weren't there, but that's because everybody else. I mean, I think he tried hard. So I like to throw them out there.
Dede also knows that his shot at like a legitimate number kind of 2 wide receiver, because let's face it, he's not going to be a number 1 receiver, is here for the Jaguars. He knows that if he still shows out the rest of this year, he'll have a spot for next year. unlike the rest of our receivers. I mean, we can toss any of them and we wouldn't know any of the difference. But I mean, to give one of the things Joey said over the last whole year is kind of he's picked out people like whether it's Jalen Ramsey or whoever it is. And I'm not just picking on Ramsey just to use him, but it's a prime example. Like this team isn't a team right now. It's a bunch of individual kind of mini superstars in our world. And when the whole place gives up like that, I mean, they're not playing for the team. I mean, I understand this is a sport that they're making money on and everything, but at the same time, I mean, you have to have a team dynamic if you're going to try to win a Super Bowl. And when you have individual players just giving up left and right, I mean, you're in a weird spot because how do you trust those people to come back the next year and do what they need to do to potentially make an actual run for it?
Or who cares about winning a Super Bowl at this point? How about beating the Titans?
Yeah.
I mean, eliminating their playoff chances. A team that's beat us, 7 times in a row now? I mean, if you can't get up for that game, dude, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, like how are you not sick of getting embarrassed by them? I mean, as a fan, I'm embarrassed. But how are you as a player out on the field in front of national TV not just absolutely embarrassed
And it was
to go out there like that?
obvious that the Titans wanted it more. It was clear as day. And that's even before I saw the whole Fournette jumping up into the stand. I mean, that whole thing. I mean, yeah, absolutely the most embarrassing game I can remember.
Well, I think that the players quit, and I think the players didn't show up. But you know who else didn't show up? James. James is not here. But he did want us to give us his thoughts on the players quitting. He sent me his thoughts on the players quitting, and this is what he says. I'm going to summarize it because he sent me a book. Okay, unless you all want me to read a book on here, I'm going to summarize it for you. He said that he didn't feel like the players quit. He said they might have, but he feels it's more that like what Telvin and Calais were saying after the game when they said that their bodies weren't ready for a Thursday night game because they were just coming off a game and it was week 14 and they were tired and it was a team that got down quick and they thought in their heads, you know what, we're a 4-8 team. There's no way our offense is going to come back. And they just kind of gave up. And so that's what James thinks.
Yeah, he also wanted us to make sure we let everyone know where he's at. He's in Daytona at a Carly Rae Jepsen concert currently. He went with his wife down there for their anniversary.
Yeah, he's a big Call Me Maybe fan.
Yeah, big Call Me Maybe
Yeah.
fan.
I mean, hey, when you get floor seats to that, you don't pass those up.
That's true.
So
Got a good
we
deal.
get it, James.
But yeah, good for them. I hope they're having a good trip.
Yeah.
So we'll see him probably next week. All right. Well, you guys want to get to some Twitter questions?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. All right, we're going to get some Twitter questions here. We got some good ones. So thank you guys for sending us your Twitter questions. Keep them coming. I mean, they're awesome. We want to be a representation of the Jaguars fan base, not the media. So we're going to keep going with these Twitter questions as long as we get them. This first one, and I like it, is from Phil Shad, and he's at Phil Shad. And he asks, how safe is Marone's job? The team seems undisciplined, and whatever his message is doesn't seem to be working. Could they get rid of him, make Coughlin the coach, and hire a legit GM/personnel person? And he says Caldwell should be gone, obviously.
Before this past weekend or Thursday, I would have said there's 0 chance of Marone getting fired and Coughlin coaching because he's like 90. After that game, I think it's absolutely happening. Marone's obviously lost the team. If anybody listened to his press conference today or whatever that was, it was pitiful. I mean, Fournette has done 2 things in 3 weeks. He's run across the field, got in a fight, got suspended. The first game back, he runs up and yells. I mean, whatever the fans said, I get it. Disrespectful. You don't do that. But they're doing that because they know that's his weak point now. So, and Marone's lost control. I don't think he's had control of the team in the preseason. You know? I mean, look at the text, like everybody's throwing out. Most NBA, whatever sport you name, you can't do that. You don't text, you don't tweet, you don't do all that stuff out there for free. Just on your own, like, you just can't do that. He's lost the team. And it's sad to say because I thought he was on point, but at this point, he's gone.
I'm with Joey on the Marone thing. Unfortunately for me, I feel like he's, for some weird reason, I still think he ends up coming back next year. And this is why I feel like he had his good season where we made it to the AFC Championship. I mean, you can even argue last year that we could have possibly just kind of had a lucky run at the end of the year with Bortles getting hot. But regardless, he had one good season, and then this season he had a terrible season. So I almost think they're going to give him one more year to get the guys back healthy and see what he can do. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think he has any control over the team at all. But as far as Coughlin goes, I don't think there's any way that Coughlin comes down and starts coaching. Personally, I don't see why he would do it. I feel like it's almost a lose-lose for him, because if he comes down now, especially this season, what can he do? All you can do is as the VP right now is start finding players like crazy. When players start having their bottom line, their money start hurting them, I mean, they're going to straighten up to some degree. So start finding them. Every time they do something dumb, like Leonard Fournette, find them. Your team can find you. Find them for getting into altercations like that. But as far as head coaching, if he comes out and he doesn't do good, he's going to be a semi-laughing stock at this point. And he's already had a great run as a head coach. He doesn't need to do it now.
I think if Coughlin stays with the Jags, he absolutely comes down on the sidelines. He's a man of principles, man. He's embarrassed as we are right now. I mean, he's not okay with that. I think he thought Marrone was the same as him as far as like discipline and tough training camp and all that. And Marrone's apparently not. I would have never said it again before that Coughlin would coach again, but I think he's good for another 2 years. And I think he might be motivated to do it at this point, just based off the fact that he's fed up.
It just seems like it's not a move that Coughlin would do. He doesn't seem like a guy that would like hire Marrone and then be like, fire him after this. I just don't, I mean, I don't know. I don't see Coughlin as that type of guy. I think he likes Marrone and he's going to give him another shot next year with a team that's hopefully not as injured. I don't think he has any desire to coach. I just don't. I mean, he could have sat out for a little bit and taken a coaching job if he wanted to. He was retired. He came out of retirement because he wanted to do this, be a CEO of a team, not a coach, not get involved with the day-to-day X's and O's. Yeah, he did probably hire a guy that he sees a lot of himself in Marrone. And admittedly, I liked Marrone when they kept him on. I thought that was a great move.
I agree.
And I still think he has potential to be a good coach. He's just starting to worry me with some of his in-game adjustments or lack thereof and his inability to manage these players. So, I don't know. We'll see. James sent me from Daytona Beach.
Who?
James.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. He does the podcast with us every once in a while.
Yeah,
He's a guest sometimes.
Forgot about him.
And he actually had a pretty good take on Marrone. He says that he doesn't think this gets Marrone fired. He thinks that if the team continues to show lack of discipline with unsportsmanlike conduct, penalties, and overall immaturity, then he may be on the hot seat. But he says he has shown that he can't handle alpha males or a winning atmosphere. And he likes to draw the comparison with Phil Jackson. And he says people say Phil Jackson, the basketball coach, was lucky because of who he got to coach. But what made him great was his ability to manage the personalities of those great players. So he thinks Marrone has failed in that aspect of managing these alpha male players.
Yeah, Marrone's definitely no Phil Jackson. But my whole point about, Coughlin did not come here wanting to coach. You're right.
Right.
He could have had plenty of coaching opportunities if he took some time off. But I think with his name attached to this team at this point, I think he's way more embarrassed and way more mad than any of us know. So I think it is a legitimate possibility that we see him on the sidelines next year.
You could tell by his body language from the TV that he was upset.
Well, not even that, but on his foundation, the J Fund, like on the drill, like he lost it a little bit.
Oh, he did?
Like you could tell.
I didn't hear that.
Like Dan and Prosser, like it's usually back and forth, like good stuff. And like as agitated as somebody that age can get, like he was very adamant about the fact that it was not okay. He was embarrassed by it. And not even the penalties, not the winning or losing, none of that. That happens with injuries, like you said. It's the player control. It's the managing the players. Marrone maybe doesn't have that.
Do you, and you might be able to answer this better, Jason, how do you feel about Marrone as a head coach not really having much of an offense or defensive coordinator background? So he was only a coordinator for 2 years between 2006 and 2008 for the Saints. But other than that, he hasn't really, he's obviously was the head coach of the Bills, but he hasn't had a lot of like being the head coordinator at place. It's always offensive line. Do you think that is a big issue with him and maybe not really being able to run the playbook himself?
I think you could make a valid argument for that. because of where the NFL is going as far as high-powered offenses. Although we saw last night with the Bears, they were able to shut down the Rams for the first time probably all season. But you could make an argument for that. However, traditionally, I've always felt that the best head coaches were more CEO type guys. Like there was a thing in the coaching community, it's been around for a while, that the best head coaches were special teams guys because they had to evaluate every single player on the roster. They had to see offense, defense, kickers, punters. They had to manage everybody. So for a long time, special teams guys were like notoriously good head coaches. And I think Marrone kind of has that like esque to him, but he just maybe, I don't know. I mean, is it hard to handle? Could anyone handle a mixture of Ramsey, Ngakoue, Telvin, these guys, Fournette? Like that's a group of guys right there, man. And that's a lot of ego in one room. And when you start losing, man, I mean, look, we saw how fast these players turned on Hackett the second he was fired. So I don't know, man. I like to think that he's okay, but no, I personally don't. To answer your question, I personally don't think that you need to have like a extensive skilled background in it as like an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. Because sometimes you can be a good coordinator and a bad coach and vice versa.
Yeah, and the reason I was asking that too, because I don't feel like Doug Marrone, and I could be completely wrong, but just from watching this season alone, could grab the playbook and start running the show. I don't get that feeling from him. I feel like it kind of rides or dies on the offensive coordinator making the calls. And whatever they say that's going to happen, it's going to go. And I understand it in the sense of you want your guy, you hired him for this position, you're going to trust him that he's going to make the right plays and everything, but this whole season that didn't happen. So, I mean, at some point you have to be able to kind of get it together and get the show running yourself.
Or at least come over through the headset and be like, no, we're not running that play.
Yeah.
And who knows if he has.
That's
but
true.
You don't get the sense that he has because nothing's working. And if he has, it's either way, it's not working. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to the next question.
Yeah.
Bring it.
This one deals with, we have two that deal with Todd Wash. We have Brad Harvin at the rundown_BH. He just made a comment that Todd Wash and Dave Caldwell need to be gone today. But Italian Jag at Joey Jaguar 98 asks, is Todd Wash gone after this season?
He has a fantastic name, Joey. There you go, buddy. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to talk about losing your squad? I mean, you want to talk about more talent in the NFL, period, than our defense? And they underperformed for the majority of the games. So if Marrone's going to take that hit, Walsh has definitely got to take that hit, probably more so. I mean, that's your job, dude. Prepare them for the games, motivate them for the games, get them pumped up for the games, and manage them. And it didn't happen at all. Preseason, regular season, no.
If Marrone stays, do you think Todd Wash stays or no?
I think Caldwell and Walsh should be gone.
Okay. I think the only concern I have, and I haven't been happy with Walsh either, and it kind of goes back to what we've talked about, how many of these just huge dynamic personalities we have on this defense. And it goes back to that discipline. Like, who can come in and actually discipline these guys like they might need to be disciplined? Or not might. They need to be disciplined. And also, say we keep Marrone. Well, how does that reflect on trying to bring in an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator? If we lost both of our coordinators, how do you bring in new people that are going to have the experience to be able to control these guys? I mean, that's got to be a hard thing to do.
Well, I think that's got to be Marrone's job to control these guys. The coordinators are just out there calling plays, and I think that's where the differentiation between their jobs comes in. But I don't understand. I'm the last person on earth that will blame coaches. Okay, I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying I'm the last one. Like, it takes me the longest time to be like, all right, the coach needs to go, because usually I'm a big believer in it's Jimmys and Joes rather than X's and O's, because every coach knows what they're doing. There's a reason why they're professionals. Do they maybe not have the best schemes for their personnel? Do they maybe not adjust? Yes, but typically they know what they're doing. Like, these coaches are smart guys. They really are. They've been in the business for a long time. It doesn't take a genius to line this defense up in cover one and play man. Like, that's what this team needs to do. We have athletes everywhere. That's what they need to do. If a team starts to drag you across the field, run pick routes, things like that, then throw in some change-ups in there. And it seems like that's what Wash did last year. To me, it seems like this year he's getting into a bunch of cover 2s. He ran some cover 6. I mean, Ronnie Harrison is a good cover 6 player. That's what he ran in Alabama. But I feel like he's overcomplicated it this year. And is that his fault, or is that what Marrone asked him to do? It's hard to know. Should Wash be fired? Yes, he should. Only because sometimes with a team, you got to change it up. You just need a new. I mean, how many times has Wade Phillips been fired? And he just always emerges somewhere else as a good coach, right? Because sometimes you just need like a change of scenery, right? Sometimes you just need new lingo, you need new players, you need a fresh start, and I think that's what Wash and this defense need.
I think the crazy thing about it is like you don't even have to go to the play calling and the scheming and all that, because it simply, if you're respected by your players, they don't play like they have been. If your defense respects you as a defensive coordinator, they don't go out there and give a half effort like they did last weekend or last Thursday.
Okay, I agree with you, but here's the only thing that and I have to give my buddy Alex credit for this, because he's the one that brought this up to me, and he's going to listen to this, and if I don't give him credit, he's going to give me crap. But he said, if we think back to that play where Derrick Henry ran 99 yards, they teach you at the most fundamental level of football in Pop Warner, if a running back is bigger than you, you tackle their legs.
You go low. Everybody knows that. So
is that Todd Wash's fault that 3 guys didn't do that?
No, that's them not wanting to get hurt. No effort, man.
So how I just struggle to blame Wash for that. But that's my only problem. So
how do you not,
is he not motivating his guys to tackle correctly?
They don't respect him. They don't care about him as a defensive coordinator.
I don't think
I've played for coaches that I didn't respect and ones that I was scared to death of and did respect.
So you think that there's a coach that could have been plugged into that position that they would have made a better effort on that play?
Absolutely. And I think that any defensive coordinator in the country would love to come to our team.
I agree. But I just don't agree. I don't think the guy calling the plays is going to change the fact that Boye tried to tackle Derrick Henry around the shoulder pads. Like, what?
They purposely didn't, because they're not bought in. That's the coach.
Is that the coordinator's fault?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the most day-to-day interaction. That's who you're watching tape with. I mean, yeah, the head coach is the ultimate.
But an NFL coordinator shouldn't have to tell you to cut tackle a big running back.
It wasn't that they didn't know to do that.
So they didn't?
Yes. Everybody knows that. I know that. I didn't even play football.
Yeah. I
said they chose not to.
Yeah. All of them. Yeah. Boye, Jack, Jacobs. 3
guys, at least. Derrick Henry, you know what his rushing yard total was before the highest game all year?
Like 56.
58 yards.
58, yeah.
He went up for 219 and 4 touchdowns. He's not that good of a back.
Sometimes people just go off though.
No,
sometimes I mean, like who was the tight end like that? The tight end that went off for like 200 yards in the first half yesterday. It was Kittle, George Kittle from the 49ers.
That guy's had multiple games like that, and that goes back to Caldwell. We can blame him for not.
No, I'm just saying, like sometimes players just go off.
They do.
I know Kittle was a good draft pick.
The case,
but yeah, I don't. But you're saying that he was terrible. He hasn't had good yards. I could say that he just went off that game
because we were soft.
Yeah,
and didn't care.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Anything to add, Robert, before we move on to the next question?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Thank God James isn't here. We'd be on this topic for another 30 minutes.
Since James isn't here, can we bring up Dante Fowler at some point?
I think we should, just in honor of him not being here.
He's soft too.
Yeah. Oh, did you see his tweet after the run? He tweeted, "Yeesh."
All right, I like you a little bit more at this point in time.
Yeah, that was good. That was
pretty
good.
awesome.
I know. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, it was bad.
Okay, so this is a good question. This question is from Hugh Lynch, and he's at AODH Lynch. And he asks, can this team be fixed in one offseason? And by fixed, he means playoffs next year.
Absolutely. Definitely possible. Do I trust Caldwell to do it? No.
I think the only way it can be is by drafting I apologize. The only way it can be is by getting either trading or getting a veteran QB in free agency. I don't see us next year, no matter who it is, getting a rookie quarterback and having the amount of time, unless he just somehow is just the next big thing, have enough time to get us in a position to get into the playoffs the way that Houston's playing.
Dude, we have a load of talent.
Yeah.
We're not that far off from last year. But coming into this next draft, offseason, all that, it's going to take somebody that's going to be a mastermind with contracts, which I do think Caldwell's good at that. But also finding some talent where you wouldn't expect it. And I don't trust him to draft anybody in the first round.
Can you really give him another? Okay, we're not on this, but
No.
can you really give him another shot at drafting a quarterback?
God, no.
You can't. You can't.
No.
And let's also think about that. Are these contracts? Are these all Dave Caldwell, or are they what's his name that we talked about?
Yeah, I mean, there is some like financial advisor that's supposedly drawing up all these
He
contracts.
came from like didn't he come from the Jets or something
Yeah.
like that? We
Really?
talked about him over the
Yeah.
summer during the off season. That's supposedly like a guru when it comes to these
It's
contracts.
like Tom Izek or Izchik or something
and
like that.
I'm
yeah.
wondering if he's kind of. I mean, I don't know,
Who knows?
but
But to answer the question about can we turn around in a year, I'm gonna say yeah. Because look at who's first in the AFC South right now. The Houston Texans. They're 9-4. They have won. They started 0-4. Like they're on a 9-game winning streak, and they're 2 games ahead of first place of the Colts and the Titans.
And again, they're not getting any younger.
Do you know what their record was last year? 4-12. They were 4-12 last year. They were hit with injuries similarly the way the Jaguars were this year, and they turned it around. I could see the Jags kind of following a similar path as the Texans did just a year later, because we have, like Joey said, we have the talent, we have the players, and now we have a high draft pick, and that's a recipe for kind of turning it around, in my opinion. Are you going to be able to get the players to buy in, though? That's going to be the question. Are you going to be able to get Ramsey to re-sign? Are you going to be able to get Ngakoue to get back to his 2017 playing style? Are you going to get Leonard to play all out and not fight people?
or stay healthy.
That's the questions that will have to be answered, because if Jalen walks after next year and wants to sign as a free agent somewhere else, that's probably not going to be good for our chances. If Ngakoue continues to trend downwards, probably not good for our chances either. So if we can't get a quarterback, then that also isn't going to help us. So it really probably comes down to the question of who's playing quarterback next year.
Well, see, that's my thing too. It's and not only is it the quarterback, what are we doing at the receiver spot? I mean, I understand that we're going to get Marquise Lee back, but is he going to be the answer to all of our issues currently? I mean, we get Austin Safarian Jenkins back, and if we're still doing the Wyman idiot segment, he did nothing this year, even when he was healthy.
This whole podcast is a why I'm an idiot.
Yeah, so I mean, he did nothing as when he was healthy. So, who are we really getting back next year as in the receivers when these guys now
Marquise Lee
can't get? Yeah, but
Okay,
even the year before we struggled with getting separation with him being healthy.
but think about it. If we've got Lee, we've got Chark, and we've got D.D. Westbrook, and we've got Safarian Jenkins back, we fix our offensive line. That's not bad.
I think Chark is going to be pretty solid next year, but at the same time, he dropped a lot of passes this year. We can't say that he's going to be great next year just because he flashed a couple games.
I mean, I think you could add a receiver to that core that Joey said, and it could be a solid core.
Okay.
But you're probably going to have to add one in the draft for free agency, no doubt. Can't be some scrub like Dante Moncrief, though. I mean, it's going to have to be.
Oh, wait a minute, man. He sold out like that throw where he like laid out and almost caught. Oh, wait, he didn't lay out at all.
Yeah.
They should cut him right now.
Well, we narrowed
Can you
it
do
down
that?
to like
Can you like tell him to go home now?
He had one good catch in that game.
Dude, that was ridiculous. Kessler put the ball on the money on that throw.
How about Kessler? Can we take a moment and just what were your thoughts on Kessler?
Kessler was playing great.
Yeah.
Like literally, he did really well.
That dude is so accurate on the run.
He is. He even had a run where he picked up a first down.
Yeah, I mean, when he gets outside the pocket, that dude can hit the ball. Can that touch pass he had in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown? That thing was beautiful.
Yeah, that was a heck of a catch too.
That was a good catch. I mean, he barely got that track.
But I mean, with that being said, yes, he could easily be our gap quarterback, and we draft somebody. And I mean, absolutely, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, he has yet to show me that he can't play quarterback for us.
I agree.
That's the bottom line. Like, has he been impressive? A couple plays.
Yeah.
His total body of work, jury's still out, but he has yet to show me that he's not a good quarterback.
And part of that is that he's excited to have the shot.
And
he
look at who's blocking for him. And look who he's throwing to. And
yeah.
I mean, I felt bad for the guy. He was getting, even the announcers were, was it Buck and Aikman? Is that who it was? They were just like, poor guy, man. Every time he's dropping back, he's getting destroyed. And I felt bad for D.D. Westbrook too. Like you said at the beginning, those two guys played well and they took a beating in that game.
And D.D.'s gotten the short staff all season.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll also give D.D. Westbrook credit because ever since the offseason, I've been saying that I think he's going to get hurt really quick. But this whole season, he's taken some big hits for being such a small guy.
Dude, he plays like a man.
I mean, I've been thoroughly impressed. I don't think he was our number one by any means, but as a number two, that dude has shown out and showed that he can take a hit and he's not scared anymore.
I mean, we'll have our left tackle back next season.
Hopefully.
Is that questionable?
Well, I mean, it usually takes ACL injuries a while to get back to your former form, and it wasn't like Cam Robinson was an all-pro before he got hurt.
Beginning of the season, though, I mean,
And then people
surely.
were also talking about how he was pretty out of shape at the beginning of the season too. So
Well, we're going to go ahead and say that that's going to happen because left tackle is super. That's hard to fix. You
Yeah.
bring Linder back, and the right side of the line, man, you can easily fix that.
I think they could. I mean, we're not getting into draft stuff, but I think they could potentially try to draft the left tackle and put Cam on the right side, and I think we could solve a lot of issues.
That's a good point. We are going to have an episode where we talk about the draft coming up soon.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's a good point. All right, this next question is from Santa King, and he's at the Noah
Santa
Bennett.
King?
He's at the Noah Bennett.
But he changes his Twitter handle like
He does.
weekly.
He's but seasonal. It's very seasonal.
That's impressive.
Okay,
I
yeah,
got
I
it.
like
Okay.
that because he was Turkey King before.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
So he says, could the questionable front office decision making prevent the team from locking up players like Ramsey, Yannick Ngakoue, and Miles Jack? To clarify, is the front office making those players want to leave similarly to Allen Robinson?
Absolutely. I mean, the team's not bought in. That's probably our biggest problem other than injuries. So, yeah, absolutely. If they're not bought in, why would they want to stay here? It's already a small market. They can go somewhere else and be a bigger star. Yeah.
The only one I would be worried about is Ramsey, because Ramsey is the only one, in my opinion, that played well enough this season where he could get a contract somewhere else and get paid more. I think all the rest of the guys, we're probably going to pay him more than anyone else because all the rest of them had a down year from last year. But Ramsey is still had a good enough season, was flashy enough when he needed to be, that he's going to get top dollar somewhere.
I'm actually more worried about him if he's ever going to be able to play again after that massive concussion from that headbutt. I mean, that could be a career ender.
Oh, Joey.
That
That looked like a soccer play.
It did. That did look like a soccer play. That really did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Ramsey, I could totally see him leaving. I mean, they were even making jokes during the game on Twitter, like, man, Ramsey's going to look good in a Titans jersey in 2 years. And it's like, gosh, man, that's not that far off to believe, to be honest. Jack, I think Jack's been good. He's been up and down all year. Like, I agree with Robert. I'm still not, I mean, I like Yannick Ngakoue, but man, he disappointed me this year. I'm more disappointed with him than probably anybody on the team this year.
I mean, we were talking defensive player of the year.
He was trending up at such a rate that I thought he was going to be a beast, and he just got shut down, man.
Well, I mean, you know way more about football than I. So what is that? Is it he's undersized? Is it the same move every time? Is it the scheme? Like,
I don't think he just got to the quarterback like he could last year. I don't know what I mean, his go-to move is just to get around the edge.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done it a couple times, and
so he's half a second away.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and he's still a good player, but it's just he's not. The coverage maybe wasn't there this year like it used to be. The linebackers weren't. I mean, there's no telling. I mean, it didn't seem like from the film that he was being double teamed more than he was last year. We seem to be double teamed more on the interior. The guys like Campbell and Jackson.
I mean, he's not the type of guy you double team anyway, right?
Right. I'm sure you can just push him to the outside and
Yeah.
quarterback and step up in the pocket, especially nowadays where everything in the passing games, these 3-step drops, and it's even hard to get pressure. But I mean, that still, you have to get pressure. That's one thing that the Bears did last night against the Rams that really just, they put pressure on Goff and made him force his throws or rush his throws, and they got interceptions. So it's what it really all comes down to on defense. I mean, you can have the best defensive backs in the world, the best, fastest linebackers in the world, but if the quarterback is all day in the pocket, that means nothing because the receivers will just get open. So,
well, I mean, is that part of what happened? Is that we're a one-trick pony? They figured us out and they played against that?
maybe, I don't know. I mean, it seemed like I was saying earlier, Wash did more like variety of blitz schemes and zone coverages.
We never had any of that, right? I mean,
last year we were a straight cover one team.
yeah.
I mean, we played man everywhere. We had a middle free safety, Gibson, in the middle of the field, and he just roamed everywhere, and we blitzed you with 4.
And we didn't play this dumb prevent crap either towards the end of the game. We kept playing hard throughout the whole entire game, and it seems like we get soft in the fourth quarter. We just back off so much.
You know who I would want at free safety? Rob Gronkowski. I think he would just be.
What the heck?
I think he would just be amazing back there.
After the way he ran down that guy in that game,
That angle,
that was impressive.
Beautiful.
It's almost like he didn't have a giant e-brace on.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, great idea.
What was he?
Great idea, Belichick.
Are they trying to get this guy injured again? I mean, are they trying to force retirement for Gronkowski?
Rob is really good and like straight away. I mean, but come on, dude. Don't make him turn around and run at an angle.
He tore ACL at one point. I mean,
This next question is from Patrick Jackson. He's one of my favorite listeners, and he's at Radius Johansson, and he has a great question. Where did it all go wrong?
oh,
Patrick always with the good ones, man, and the deep ones.
He cuts straight to the heart
He
with his
does.
questions.
I hate to say this because I defended the move and I love him as a person, but it was the re-sign of Blake Bortles. I think that's where it all went wrong. I think if we had, I understand we've had a load of injuries, 100%, but I think if we had a halfway competent quarterback for this year, that even through the injuries, we probably could have had some of these guys show up and play a little harder. I feel like this offense, whether it's the receivers and everyone, just so messed up in the head with, I mean, never knowing where the ball was going to go. I mean, it's like it might hit you in the hands and you weren't expecting it, so you drop it, or it's going to go 5 yards behind you, or it's going to fly over your head, or it's going to get tipped and flip through the air. That it just messed the whole team offense dynamic up. And I think if we had a halfway competent quarterback, that most of those guys could have pushed through it because they knew the ball was eventually going to get into their hands.
I think our offense absolutely ruined our defense mentally because they're soft. But it was the offense's fault. I mean, you can only spend so much time on the field. You can only try so hard when you know that it's not going to happen. But I think the reason that happened was not because of Bortles. Bortles is as good as the people around him. And I think that the upper brass banked too much on the fact that our receivers were going to make that leap, that they could plug somebody in at tight end that was okay to maybe better than okay at other teams. And then all the injuries. Lee went down. I mean, it was just one after another. So, and Bortles is not that guy. He's not going to put the entire team on your back and carry you to a championship or carry you to the playoffs.
Well, the question is where did it all go wrong, Joey? So,
Well, that was
where did it all go wrong?
It was multiple things. There was not one thing to pinpoint on that. But if you're going to, it's going to be Caldwell, Marone, Coughlin, whoever makes those decisions that made those decisions.
I was kind of fishing for, I was hoping you'd say something, kind
Such
of fishing
as?
for something, but this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say it all went wrong. I'll give you an exact date. March 13th, 2018. That's when the Bears signed Allen Robinson to a 3-year, $42 million contract.
He would have been as bad as everybody. I mean, he was a cancer. He didn't want to be here. He was
If
the
you
first guy who
paid
didn't
him,
want to be here.
If you paid him,
No,
would.
he did not want to be
If
here.
you gave him $18 million a year like the Bears did, he would have sucked it up and played.
And what, he's had, 7 touchdowns and 600 yards?
You're telling me that if A-Rob was here, we'd be this bad?
No, we'd be a little bit better.
Bortles could
That's not
just
what
throw
brought
it
the
up
whole
to
team
him.
down.
Bortles could throw these fade routes that he's throwing to Moncrief, and instead you have a guy like Allen Robinson going up and
He
getting them.
definitely would have made us better, but he didn't want to be here. I don't want a guy that doesn't want to be here.
He didn't want to be here because we didn't want to pay him. It's like a mutual thing. It's
No,
like,
he didn't want to be here because he didn't like Bortles.
maybe. But it also could be because we didn't want to pay him.
That too.
So if Allen Robinson was on this team, I think we look drastically different.
Yeah, but we're still not making the playoffs. So that's really not answering where to go wrong. It's
Because
like where to
and
go,
look,
like,
and this
not
is
so
why.
wrong.
And this is where I'm going with it, because we tried to compensate by losing him in the following ways. We signed Dante Moncrief. We signed Austin Seferian-Jenkins. And both of those guys have done absolutely nothing for us this season. And that was our way of compensating for Allen Robinson.
And we paid
Marquise Lee, who then got hurt. And so now we are looking at a team where we tried to take one player out and fill it in with 3, and those 3 people did nothing for us.
Okay.
So it's more than just a 1-player swing. It's like a 3-player swing, because now we would have Allen Robinson on the field. We would have not as much money tied up in Marquise Lee, so the injury isn't as devastating, and we might be able to bring in a middle tier guy who could at a receiver who couldn't be any worse than Moncrief. Like We have Rashad Green out there. Who on earth could we have brought in?
Rashad Green's my hero, by the way. And we talk about sticking with
the
the
dude
team.
returned a kickoff to the 18-yard line.
After dropping the game-winning touchdown, after getting picked up off the practice squad, you're still on the team.
How bad do you have to be to return a kickoff to the 18? You can't get to the 20? You can't even get to the 20. Like, they give you the 25. Like,
dude, there's absolutely no doubt if we had A-Rob here, he would have been a pickup as far as wide receiver goes. But you cannot tell me that after things started going downhill, injuries started happening, all that, he would have been just another guy who wasn't bought in and didn't want to be here and made it worse. So yeah, we might have won a couple more games.
But a couple more games puts us in striking distance of the AFC South.
Fair enough.
Striking distance.
Like a long strike.
All right, well,
you really expected me to go there, by the way? Like I would have figured out that would have
hoping maybe you'd go there. I was
no way ever.
Just because of all the conversations we had about
I still think getting rid of him was the right call.
A-Rob.
Honestly.
Yeah, that's fair. I could see where you're
saying he is a better receiver than anybody we have on our team, but I just don't think he was a good fit.
I agree.
I mean, we alluded to it at the beginning of the season. Like, we were very lucky last year as far as severe injuries went. And everything's good when you're winning. Everybody is more bought in. Everybody, hey, go team. This year, injuries happen. Everybody got divisive, and we have what we have.
All right, well, I guess we can move on to this Sunday.
There's more games?
There are more games. Whew. The last home game of the year. Any of y'all going? Any of y'all going to make the trip for the last one?
Not going to happen.
You want to see a 4-8 team play in cold weather?
If they'd pay for my parking.
Last game of the year? Playing with
Cody
Kessler's quarterback?
Con, can I get a $19 ticket and a parking voucher? I'm there.
I'm going to go because it's the last one. And in the offseason, I'm always like, dang, I wish you'd have gone. So I'm going to not make that mistake anymore. They're playing the Redskins this Sunday, 1 o'clock, prime time. Redskins are currently third in the NFC East. Not doing much better than the Jags. They currently have a quarterback issue where they just benched Mark Sanchez in lieu of, wait for it, Josh Johnson.
I've been trying to remember his name all episode.
He's played for, I think, like 12 NFL teams, like more teams than Fitzpatrick has. So pretty impressive.
Where do you play college at, Jason?
Oh, man.
Oh, you had it.
It's somewhere out west. And something obscure, some small school. I gotta look it up now. San Diego. Yeah. I was right. A small school out west. I knew it was something like that. Okay, so San Diego.
Hey, that was a good call.
Yeah. So he was drafted by the Bucs in 2008 in the 5th round. Good for him, man. A 5th round pick in 2008, and he's still in the league.
Yeah. And he's starting.
It's money right there, man.
Heck yeah.
Easy money.
I mean, he sounds like a waiter at Applebee's, and he's still playing in the NFL.
Can we reflect on how Mark Sanchez was still a starting quarterback in the NFL?
He was on his couch, wasn't he?
Like, people talk about how was Bortles still a quarterback. I mean, Mark Sanchez is messed up at a lot of places, and still.
I mean, didn't they literally call him at home and say, "Hey, come play"?
That's happened before.
Was Rex Grossman not available?
Yeah, a beautiful man is the only reason I think he keeps getting a contract places.
As long as you don't kneel for the anthem, I think you're fine.
Yeah.
I'm just okay. So Josh Johnson,
Jason just went there. Finally, 46 episodes, Jason just went there.
It's because James isn't here. All right. So if we're counting the Sacramento Mountain Lions, Josh Johnson and the San Diego Fleet. Josh Johnson's played for 15 teams.
Are those like, I don't know, is that Arena Bowl?
I think so.
It's got to be, right?
But those are the only 2 teams that are professional. So he's played for 13 NFL teams and 2 arena teams. Good for him.
I mean, yeah, we've got a good shot to win this weekend, even if people don't show up.
So what do you think?
I think it's Jags 10-7.
Think Jags win?
10-7.
10-7?
No. No, I think he gets another contract next year because he beats us.
The question is,
he's 16th team.
He goes to 16th team.
The question is
we might pick him up.
Does Adrian Peterson like go for like 280 and like 5 touchdowns and break like every record there's out there?
I forgot about
him.
At like 4?
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it.
You remembered Adrian Peterson being on that team,
dude,
and you still picked us to beat him.
Well, yeah, I mean, because he shouldn't.
I hate this because I was always a guy that no matter what, was going to pick the Jags to win. And this whole season, I've just been more than ever because it sounds terrible to say this, but you get used to losing at some point in time. And then we flash and we do so well last year. You don't know what to do with yourself anymore. And then you instantly have this kind of season. It like takes everything out of you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad being a fan of a team with like zero expectations. Because if they win, you're like, man, they just like underdog, they beat somebody. But a team with expectations that doesn't live up to them, like that's a crappy place to be in.
It's like being a Patriots fan and getting beat by Miami last night.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I think the Jags actually do win this week. I think they just like flash. I mean, the Redskins are bad. I mean, what's Josh Johnson gonna
They
do?
get 2 more wins than we do.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't think they win. I think we win. I mean, if we're giving predictions, no one cares. But I'll say 14-10. It's a low scoring game. James has a prediction on the game. Y'all want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Who?
James says the Jags are going to win 17-0 on Sunday. He says the last home game against either Sanchez or Josh Johnson, if they lose, Marrone should be fired immediately. And he ends it by saying, Joey sucks.
Hey, legitimate question. I know they will, but do you think there's any
Jason made it up.
consideration of them not playing Leonard Fournette because of his annex again?
I would.
I don't think so. I don't see that how it matters.
I mean, if they're talking about starting to try to have some kind of discipline, I mean,
I don't think they're going to start now.
I don't either, but I mean,
I have an idea. Let's start with a really hard training camp next year. How about that?
Yeah.
And we'll start it really early. We'll go 3-a-days, and then it'll just be the hardest training camp ever because that'll get us in shape for the season. That's a great idea. How about that, guys?
Yeah, if you're not a bunch of soft stuff I can't say on this podcast, then yeah, that's a problem. Hey, it was too hard. Hey, we appreciate the first year because it kind of set the tone. But whoa, 2 years in a row? Bro, way too hard for us professional athletes that are all young.
You know, at a soft training camp, the Rams did, and you can see it. They really didn't pay off for them having that soft training camp. Because
please don't swear. We don't want to have
that's not a
our YouTube
comparison
demonetized
whatsoever.
at this point in time.
The Rams are not a hard-nosed, gritty, defensive run game team.
Are we?
We're supposed to be.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was the call. A hard training camp goes right along with that. The Rams are, offensive, fly all around the place. You don't need a tough offseason with that.
Well,
It's like apples and oranges, man.
I want the Rams wins, so.
I do too. Caldwell blew that 2 years ago when he couldn't foresee that coming. So let's do this. Let's rank. If 3 people are gone next season, who are they?
Church is
That's a given.
absolutely gone.
That's given.
Parnell is gone.
All right, and now somebody from the coaching staff.
Although I think Yeldon is actually probably more likely. I mean, Yeldon's a lock to be gone. Parnell probably, but Yeldon's gone. Coaching staff, I mean, Hackett's already gone. If I'm picking another one, a wash.
So not Caldwell.
Caldwell, I can't imagine Caldwell picking the next quarterback.
No.
Does that mean he's fired? Not necessarily.
So is he like a placeholder next year?
I think he's just a guy that I can't imagine Coughlin not making big time decisions.
Yeah.
I think Caldwell is the guy who, if you go back and look at a team's season's transaction log throughout the whole year, every week it's like, picked up this scrub, drop this scrub, practice squad this scrub,
Well,
pick
dude,
up this.
Today's a great example. Who the heck's that guy we picked up off waiver?
That's the stuff that I don't think Coughlin wants to do. That's the stuff that he's letting Caldwell do. Like, all right, hey, we need a 53rd guy on the roster. This guy just got hurt. Who are we going to pick up from someone's practice squad? But when it comes to drafting a quarterback in the first round, I think Coughlin's doing that 100%. So I just don't think Caldwell should be fired. Like, I've said this before. Like, I don't think Caldwell's making as many decisions as people think anymore. Because what's Coughlin doing in that situation? Just giving the thumbs up or thumbs down on all of them? Yeah, right. We know Coughlin better than that. He's going to have his hand in way deeper than that. He's the guy at the combine scouting, sitting there with the stopwatch.
That's true.
You're telling me Coughlin's not picking these draft picks? So I understand people are frustrated with Caldwell because of what he's done, but I think his role has been so diminished that it doesn't even matter if he's been fired or not, because the next guy that comes in to fill his role is probably going to be doing the same exact job he's doing now.
So no changes in the coaching staff then?
Wash, maybe.
So he's the one that goes, if anybody. You don't think Marrone goes?
If Marrone goes, Wash is gone too. So
Who do you say, Joey?
I think Walsh is gone.
yeah.
Who are your top 3?
And I would definitely say Church. I mean, that's kind of a given.
You think Malik's back?
No. contract-wise, I mean, I agree. Parnell probably, or Yeldon. But, I mean, Yeldon stepped up and did a lot for us this year with injuries. I think it's Malik and Church. And I think Malik just because they need the money to do some other things. And he didn't have a great year this year. I mean, I like the guy. I think he earned his contract. Was great previous couple of years, but yeah, I think it's those two.
I mean, how can you have $1 billion tied up in your D-line? You can't stop the run. Like, someone explain that to me.
Yeah.
Especially with the amount of size they have. I mean, it's not like it's a small line. I mean, that's easy.
Yeah, I'm going to say Malik, obviously Church, and I was going to say TJ Yeldon. I mean, I don't see the purpose of keeping him right now. I like him. I thought he's done a good job, but we have money wrapped up in Hyde now.
Yeah, Hyde, Fournette, and Grant.
Yeah, I think they're better. I think Hyde's a better running back, and Grant can do the little screen catches. I mean, so.
All right, fair enough.
All right, well, anything y'all want to add about the future of the Jags, Redskins, James being gone, anything?
I'm picking the Jags to lose this game, but I really hope we get a win. I would like, just for nothing else, but for the fans that are actually, because I'm not going to be one of them, that are actually going to go to the stadium and watch this game, give them one thing to be happy about at the end of this season. It's our last home game. I just hope these guys go out and they actually play.
I mean, at this point, players have given up. I just want them to, like, the players that want it, that are trying to earn a spot, that we do well. Like, well enough to win, and then maybe something crazy happens where we lose. I'm good with that.
For the draft pick?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to get stomped every game like last game. I mean, that was, again, embarrassing, hard to watch. But good games played. We figured some stuff out about the players that we've got question marks, like who's going to be where, who we keep in. And it's enough for the upper brass and coaching to get that information and use it. But there's no point in winning anymore. I mean, like, literally, there's 0 points.
I just hate losing.
I do too. But I mean, at this point, we're thinking about next year.
Yeah.
You know, which is sad to say, but
it's true.
But I don't want them to go out there and not try and play bad.
Yeah.
We should just get a CFL defensive coordinator, and I think we'll be good next year.
I mean, hasn't our Arena Bowl team done like fantastic year after year? I mean, are there some guys
Let's
there?
hire Wade Phillips. Any chance we can get him over here?
Yeah, Wade Phillips.
Pull him away from the Texans?
Yeah.
He might be available.
All right, well, I think that wraps it up. All right. That wraps up episode 50. Not 50. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry.
It feels like it at this point.
It does feel like it. That wraps up episode 47 of Another Jags podcast. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you guys. Make sure to follow us on social media. Twitter, we do a lot of stuff on Twitter. We break down film. We get your opinion. We just do a lot of good stuff on Twitter. So make sure you follow us at Another Jags Pod. Facebook and Instagram, Another Jags Podcast. We alert you of new episodes on there, so it's good. So thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week. And as always, go Jags.